I guess this is the biggest challenging thing which is there in our pedagogy. As the school leaders, we are dealing, as you rightly said, Rama, with various age groups. At times, when you are dealing in the school, when you are on the ground, in the ground reality, my comments may be not syncing with everybody's thought process, because I am known to be very blunt and known to be very straightforward when it comes to thoughts. Because when it comes to various platforms, whether it is webinars or on the other social medias, we really talk a lot. We talk about various strategies, we talk about various aspects. But when we come back to our schools, the routine begins again. At that time also, we are, whatever we are, I mean, with due respect to all the speakers and the listeners, when it comes to the ground reality, things are different. They are not the same the way we are putting it on our PPT presentations. We are talking on webinars or any other models, or on the various stages we are invited for talks. The ground reality for a school leader, for a school principal, is to start the day at 8 o'clock and end it by 2:30. And in those 6.5 hours, we have to ensure that we are making them steady, we are making them do the co-curricular activities, we are teaching them resilience, we are teaching them cooperation, empathy, confidence, we are teaching them all the 7 C's which Shalini ma'am talked about, all the matter which Seema ma'am was bringing back to us. But then one thing which I personally think which is most important in building resilience before anything else is the emotional resilience. Until unless we do not hit on that emotional parameters of parents, students, our staffers, and ourselves. As we spoke about empathy, somebody spoke about empathy. I guess everybody ma'am spoke about empathy at the beginning. So definitely till the time that emotional connect is not happening, things will not start falling in its place. Now, if you talk about, I'll give you my example how I built resilience at one point of time when I was a student. Because I think resilience is just about how you are enacting in that particular situation and bouncing it back. That is what resilience means to me. And that is what I want to build in my youth, in my children, in my students. In my class, grade 10, there was a pre-board happening. I'm not good with mathematics at all. It was a subject which I never liked. I scored a 9 on 100 in my pre-board 1. And my teachers got a shock of their life. Now, what to do? I got all the aboves in 80s, 85, 90s, even 95. At our times, even 90 plus was a excellent score. So now the question was how to, because that whole thing will disturb my result. There was no there was no retest happening. There were no possibilities of having what you call as you'll if you not pass in one subject, you can clear the board. It was not there. I'm talking about 93. So that time I was very depressed. I said, I will not be able to do my maths. So I had come to a stage of giving up, that I will not be able to connect with mathematics, because that is one subject which I can never connect with. My mathematics teacher, she took the challenge. Principal asked, there in J&K, we have a very strong thing of that you are not performing in your, any of the board classes, you are pushed to take the state board exams. The school helps you in getting the state board exams done. So that list which came in where the state boarders were supposed to go, I was one of them. But my maths teacher, who was my class teacher also at that point of time, she took a challenge that he will be able to do it. I said, ma'am, I can't. She said, okay. It was December, the examination begins in March. Give me 1.5 months. She asked the principal, I'll make sure that this child passes. She sat with me. She only asked me what is my fear about mathematics. She spoke to me about my why, if I can score in socials, I can score in sciences, I can score in languages, why can't I score in mathematics? We had long discussions. 1 week passed, 2 week passed, nothing constructive was happening. We were only having discussions. I was thinking, man's going to give me extra classes, going to call me for tuition at home and make me prepare for the finals. But she was not doing anything of that sort. She was just talking to me and getting out those fears. Long discussion happened, lot of ups and downs happened. Class test, even I got a big fat eggs on 10 or a 20. So everybody was hopeless, but my teacher wasn't. And this thing passed off like this. But I was able to express what kind of fears I am having here. At the time of boards, I passed with 83 on 100. And I give this credit to my teacher who emotionally built that resilience against my fears. As a school leader, as a, even I would say as a family manager, my only focus remains there. And this is the same thing I'm following in my school system also. Every year, though we talk a lot about that, we do not give importance to academics. We are holistic schools. We will look at the holistic development. But at the end of the day, we require the results of both classes. Class 10th and 12th is always those classes which we always look at giving the results. Recently, year 1920, when I had this class 12th batch, I had three students of mine who were like, those young boys who have just come out of their puberty age and now into that new world of class 11th and 12th. 11th, they were also not able to do so well, but somehow they passed in the finals. 12th, and after the midterm, we were not hoping anything from them. Again, the same pressure started building up what to do. We cannot spoil our result for class 12. I took that challenge as it recalled me of my own time. I took that challenge. I said, leave these three children to me. I sat down with them. I took them out for a pizza. I said, talk to me whatever you want to talk to. Whatever is going into your minds. Is it your relationships, your girlfriends, your family status, whatever. Just speak it out and we will see how the tables turn up. We had a good, healthy discussions. We made a group. We said, okay, whatever we are reading, we'll put it here. Whatever is expected, we'll do that. If you don't feel like reading, tell me that day, sir, I've not done the task today. That's absolutely okay with me. Even at night, 2 o'clock, they used to message me or send me a WhatsApp call or a video call. Sir, see, I've done that. So that I know I built it up that relation with them and got them out. They were absolutely those students who were like a hopeless case that they will not pass. They all passed with above 60%. Again, the same emotional resilience which I had built in them worked for them. Now, if you talk about the class 1 child, 12th class, okay, I understand. You can talk to them, they can speak their heart out to you. Everything is possible. But what to do with the class 1 child? And that was, I guess, Rama's question, that how would you deal with different age groups? Now, we had a few cases in class 1 where the children were not responding. There were 2, 3 children who were not able to take up the things nicely. They were not even, they were not even getting those passing scores, grades, I would call it. I won't call it scores because in class 1 you don't have scores. I had to call a meeting of a class teacher and the coordinator, and I asked them what is the issue. They said, sir, we are not able to understand. The child refuses to write. That was the problem. The child, whatever you do with him, the child was absolutely refusing to write. He was not ready to write. And when they were not ready to write, it was difficult for the teacher to understand what is the level of his or her understanding. We built up we built up a matrix around this thing. I said, leave the classroom, just make him go through a playway method. They said, we are already doing it. I said, what are you doing? By saying that, if you're making them say it orally, that won't be a playway method. I said, that is the problem. What we did, we started playing a treasure hunt with him. We were just putting across sentences with a dash left somewhere, and that particular blank was, put in some other location. We asked the child that you go and do the treasure hunt, and you will start getting this into pieces. So the moment the child started learning that thing, he started putting those sentences into pieces. So he was able to complete the sentence, read it, recognize it, understand it. Now the challenge was writing. We played the same game with him now, leaving the blanks in between. So the child, when he found the whole sentence and one word was missing, that child came into the writing habit. So everywhere, if you look at, my perspective is purely building emotional resilience in your children and let them handle the situation on their own. Even if it comes to your staff members, we all come with various difficulties. The moment you are entering your school, I tell them for those 6 hours, just leave that bag of, whatever you are carrying with you behind the school doors and then enter your school. My kindergarten classes start with the music in the morning. We play loud music in the corridor, and everybody, the parents who are coming in, they are dancing, the teachers are dancing, the kids are dancing. Everybody, it is an atmosphere given to them which makes them feel that they are comfortable. Definitely, I work on academics because I'm not saying that I leave the academics altogether. My first and foremost focus is on academic because that's why the child is coming to me. But this thing, when we're talking about building resilience, ultimately, what is our idea? Our idea is let them bounce back for whatever difficult situation they are in, and let them handle those situations first on their own, and then gradually help them by giving a helping hand to get them out of that situation. If we give them a solution, things become easier for the child will not be able to build resilience. Abhilasha ma'am very correctly said at the beginning itself, when this COVID stuck, everybody was asked to go online, and she was praising the kindergarten students, the kindergarten sections. Of course, excellent job done by kindergarten sections. But I would say even look at our teachers, what they did. I mean, a music teacher, a sports teacher, or the third language teacher who might have not even touched their laptops ever in their life, never had an IT skill, they came up with such beautiful ideas of getting it done to their students. So they were resilient towards that change. Our resilience, of course, it is not something which, I do not buy that it is natural. No, it is not. You have to develop it over a time. I mean, all the beautiful and young ladies are sitting here. You all are married, I'm suppose, or of at least two or three of you must be married. Weren't you resilient to come to a new house and adopt to them completely? Come leaving your own families behind, when you came to a new family, you had taken that adaptability. And I'm sure everybody had an issue. I mean, it is not a cakewalk once you get married, not neither for us, but for ladies when they're coming from a different background, different culture, different set of values into a new family. And so many times you had to be resilient because there were difficulties, but you bounced back, but you never left them alone. So I guess the ladies out here, our women are the best examples of building resilience because everybody does it. But the way you have been doing it as mothers, as sisters, as wives, as friends, as educators, it's always that so many times you have to actually be resilient towards it. So again, the emotional resilience, if you are strong in yourself, it becomes a little easier for you. I'm not saying that it is not there in the men. It is very much there in the men. But because a woman plays so many different roles in the society, she is the right example, or the right appetizer for building resilience in anybody. So I think that's my take, Rama, on that. Exactly. Love your child the way they are. I'm just adding to that. So believe in their abilities. That's the worst thing we do. That we, as ma'am said, we see ourselves or what we haven't achieved in our life in our children. So please love them the way they are, and just give them a part of the abilities they have. And if you just say, "Wow, you have done a great job," the child, whether you're a teacher or a parent, the child would feel so satisfied because every time the child is looking for that one wow from the parent or from the teacher. That's where we lack as parents also, and at times as teachers also, because of various reasons. We'll not get into that, we have less time now. But just love the way your child is, whether it is your class or it is your school or is your neighborhood or your own family children, because let's stop considering them as an object. We are just putting the pressure. This parent has a pressure on the child of coming out with what the parent is looking forward for. Teacher wants the child to come the way the teacher is looking forward for. Principal wants this child to be the way the school wants the children to grow and come out with. So let's not objectify them. Let's let them be loved the way they are and embrace that change. That is what we require at every point of time. That change which is happening, whether it is mental, physical, emotional, social, that change has to be accepted. Because if you have accepted online education, why can't we accept the fact that they have to go on a social media? They are grown up enough now. They are 13 years old, 14 years old. They have their own private life. They have their own, the way, I mean, whatever the time was, when we had our times, we had our ways of dealing with social stuff. Now they have another way of dealing with it. So embrace that change. Let's not become, at times as teachers, as parents, we become those chowkidars, those night watch, the chowkidar who run across the street taking that big danda and dung 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 dung. We are just behind our children like that all the time. Give them their space. Keep an eye that That corner of your eye is always there with them. तभी कहते हैं कि माँ बाप की टीचर्स की हर तरफ आंखें होती हैं. They've got the eyes around. So give them their space, keep an eye on them, see where they are going wrong, rather than every time we become, they take us as their role models, teachers. At times you will see kids, if the teacher has taught something wrong, mother would try her best to, correct that thing, but the child would not believe. मेरी मैम ने सिखाया है. So they just go by it. So that is the kind of belief they have in their teacher or even the parents these days. Now the things have changed. Even parents have come up as more as friends. But just become friends. Don't try to become their best friend. You cannot be their best friend. Let's be practical. They have their best friends. So be a friend to them, embarrassed to that change, and just listen to them. As what Abhilasha ma'am was also mentioning, Seema ma'am was also mentioning. I guess everybody has mentioned about that thing. And keep your opinion to a level which is required. Don't just burden them. If you're doing it, okay, we are listening, we are good listeners, we listen to all the stuff of children, and then we put our opinion as a stamp, okay, do this. No. Let them take that small decisions, and gradually you will see they will grow. So, this is again a exercise to build resilience in them. If you'll give them that field to work on, definitely they would. Sometimes they go wrong. We go wrong. It's not necessary that we don't take a right decision every time. We go wrong. We go disastrous at times. We go disastrous with our decisions what we have made. But that doesn't mean that we are not given a second chance. Let your children take that time, and they will. Yes, I buy what Abhilasha ma'am also said, that though she is not agreeing with my points much because it's not born. Yes, if it is born, let them come out with that thing. If resilience is born, kids are born with that resilience. Let that thing come out by not stamping them with various opinions of ours.